Hi everyone in YouTube land, Alan back again with Physical Media Lives, the first post of 2026. So first things off the bat obviously is I'd like to wish you all a very happy new year. Hope everything you aspire and dream of will come to pass, and hope you all had a lovely Christmas as well too and are recovering well. The pitfalls of working in retail like I do. I mean, I've been back at work quite a while now, since the 27th, but sure look, tis what it is, we'll soldier on. This video is basically, it's my highlights of 2025. I am deliberately not calling it my favourite releases of 2025 because some of the releases I bought this year weren't released in 2025. They've been around a while or two, but I suppose one thing you learn about being a collector over time is to be patient sometimes. Obviously, limited collector's editions, there's always a good chance they'll go quickly, so you have to kind of snap them up when the chance is there. But others you feel like if you stick it out for a while, you'll pick them up a wee bit cheaper somewhere further down the line, and that's kind of the way it's panned out this year. So patience is always key. I've got a top 10 favourite list that I'm going to do for you now shortly of my favourite additions to my collection this year. Some honourable mentions too, as is the done thing. I think we'll all agree 2025 was a fantastic year for physical media. There was really some fantastic releases, so we've been well catered for. So all those doom and gloom channels out there that are telling us that it's on the way out and our time is limited with it, etc., they're just talking utter nonsense, to be honest with you. Physical media is in a very healthy state going into 2026, and already we know of releases we can look forward to. Off the top of my head, we're going to see Salem's Lot release tomorrow, I think in February, which I'm sure most people will snap up. I would be surprised if that one doesn't sell out. There's also a Universal Collector's Edition of Casino coming out as well too, I believe in March, which again looks like a lovely set, and that's one I have pre-ordered, so I'm really looking forward to that. And Zavvi, who I normally don't like doing a lot of business with, but they've started to do a selection of collector's editions that were based on the company Everything Blue, who I believe have now been taken over by Zavvi. So there's a really nice collector's edition of The Untouchables coming out in the first quarter of the year, which again I've also pre-ordered because it's just a film that I really like and love. One of my favourite gangster films actually. So great things to look forward to. In a retrospective sense, let's have a look back at 2025, and I'm going to go through a few honourable mentions first, because as I put the top 10 list together, which believe me is really hard, it's the stuff that you leave out going, my god, that really does illustrate what a great year it was. Some of the stuff I've going to honourably mention as well is stuff that was recommended to me by friends, which is always a nice thing being on the YouTube community. You got nice people out there with similar tastes to you that recommend things, and it's very rewarding when you take a dip on it and it turns out that they were spot on. So let's have a look at a few of the honourable mentions first anyway. First one I'm going to go with is a nice addition from Second Sight of The Innkeepers from Ty West, a filmmaker I'm starting to learn a little bit more about as time goes on. This film was recommended to me by my good friend Rachel and her partner Paul at Brum Horror on Instagram. Two lovely people. Highly recommended this. Keith at Euphoria Pictures recommended it as well too. So decided to take a punt on it and really enjoyed it. It's Second Sight, so you're going to get a really nice edition as well. You've got your usual nice hard case, some lovely photos, nice poster in there, and a nice Blu-ray package. Second Sight, one of the most reliable companies out there, I'd say, along with Arrow, possibly the best boutique label of the year. So I was glad to get that. It's a really good film. If you've not seen it, I'd highly recommend it. Kind of one of those things that keeps you guessing all the time and you're not quite sure what direction it's going to go in. Lots of quirky little moments in it. 4K transfer is perfectly coloured and lit for the type of film that it is. Kind of a dingy, grimy sort of feel to it. Would definitely highly recommend it. It's still available on Second Sight's website, to the best of my knowledge. It's definitely worth a punt. The next one is a film that actually surprised me. It wasn't really on my list to get because it's a film I hadn't seen in a long time, but as those of you that deal with Arrow will know, they do have a loyalty points program that built up quite a few points. So ended up picking up the Mask 4K Collector's Edition, and really caught me off guard because this is probably one of the best 4K transfers of the year, to be honest with you. It's incredibly well done. It's not my favourite Jim Carrey movie by any stretch, but it's a very enjoyable, fun movie. And as I said, the 4K transfer is really nice. Arrow, as usual, done a really nice job with slipcase and whatever, and your art cards and poster as usual. Not going to open everything because I've got a lot to get through, but it ended up roughly costing me about €10 with the loyalty points factored in, and so worth getting. And one of those that's always nice when you get surprised and realise what a nice addition it is to have. And as far as I know, it's sold out. So again, another recommendation from Guillermo del Toro, my good friend Connor in Australia. Connor Gray recommended Nightmare Alley to me, which I actually have a vague recollection of the old 1940s version of the film with Tyrone Power, but this one is starring Bradley Cooper, Guillermo del Toro as well. He's kind of one of those Marmite type of directors. You either love him or hate him. I happen to like quite a lot of his stuff, not all of it, but most of it. This one's a really nice film, and it's from Criterion, this set, and unusually for them, they made a bit of an effort with the packaging. Nice hard case and a few goodies on the inside. And with Criterion, in fairness, the one thing I'll always say about them is they always make a good job of the transfer. There's a black and white version of the film as well as a colour version as well, which is always interesting. So that was really enjoyable and a nice recommendation from Connor. So thanks for that, mate. Much appreciated. This is a film that's been around for a while, and we always wondered whether it was going to get the 4K treatment. Turbine in Germany came up with the goods with Abigail, which I think is an absolutely wonderful film. Shot in my own country of Ireland as well too. Just a really, really brilliant film. The underlying dark humour and the gore and everything, everything you'd want in a really good gothic horror vampire tale, it's all there. Turbine made a lovely job of the 4K transfer as well too. The standard Blu-ray is brilliant, absolutely outstanding, and I'm thinking, well, how can they improve on that? But they actually did. Audio-wise, it's pretty much the same as the Blu-ray, but the colours are absolutely outstanding in this, and great to have a really good copy of a really, really excellent film. Recommended to be by my good friend Keith at Euphoria Pictures, and it's kind of like a Halloween staple now, but really it's that good a film. You can watch it anytime you want and you'll always get something from it. Plus you'll learn the difference between onions and garlic. Those of you that know. Next one is another Second Sight edition. It really surprised me when I saw this was available from them, because it's not really the type of film you'd associate them with, but it's The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. This is just such a great film. It's just so much witty dialogue and repartee in it, and the two leads really bounce off each other. They're really on top form. Shane Blogg always writes good dialogue, so that's why I think it works so well. I'd love to see a sequel of it. Bizarrely, the film didn't do particularly well when it was released in the cinema, which astonishes me because I just think it's wonderful, but that's kind of the world we live in these days. But definitely worth picking up if you see it on Second Sight's website, and still available to my best of my knowledge. Really nice edition, the solid case, the book, the art cards, everything, it's all there, well worth a pick up. Next few are actually Second Sight, because to me Arrow are probably the boutique label of the year, but you know, Second Sight were not that far behind them. I'd wanted to pick this film up for a long time, and eventually took a punt on it because it dropped a little in price on the Second Sight website, and their delivery service is very good. Dog Soldiers, one of the most underrated werewolf films of all time in my opinion. 4K transfer is excellent. It's a lovely set. As I said, I think it's a very underrated film. Totally different take on the werewolf tale. Just really works. Hugely enjoyable. So definitely worth a punt, guys. Second Sight again, and this is one of my favourite 80s horrors from David Cronenberg, one of my favourite directors. Pretty much everything he's done I've liked, pretty much, as I said. But this year is actually the 40th anniversary of his version of The Fly, and wouldn't it be wonderful to get a really nice 4K collector's edition of that? One Lives in Hope by Scanners here. This is a terrific film, starring Michael Ironside, who at that time was pretty much appearing in everything. I always remember him in the VTV show, but he's really terrific in this. He was in Total Recall as well. Just really enjoyed the gore and the horror in this, and a really good story as well, and probably in my top 3 Cronenberg films. This again, for Second Sight, great addition. It's great to have a nice collector's edition of films that you love, and this certainly qualifies for that. The next guy is from Film Vault. It's just a steelbook version of The Shining. I was tempted to get the larger deluxe edition, but in some ways I think those deluxe editions, they're a little bit too expensive for what you get, in my opinion. They are lovely, they're very well put together, but like there's something like a 25 quid difference between the steelbook and the deluxe edition, and you know, do you really get 25 quid's worth of extra in the actual thing itself? Sometimes I think too the packaging is a little bit too big, but look, each to their own. I've never had The Shining on 4K before. I've only ever had it on DVD, and it was a real treat to get it, and what a stunning 4K transfer it is. I'm really happy with the steelbook. You know, maybe at a different time I might have gone for the deluxe edition, but the steelbook I'm really happy to have. Cracking transfer, and what can you say about the film? It's an all-time classic. Maybe Jack Nicholson's finest performance, but I mean, that's a debate for another day because he's one of the all-time greats, so we could have a debate about that. The next guy was a surprise to me. You know the way sometimes you see a film years ago and you kind of forget about it a little bit, and then a nice collector's edition comes out and you say, you know, I might as well get it, and you forget how good the film was till you watch it again. Plus, when it comes from Arrow, this is The Return of the Living Dead. The artwork divided opinion. I happen to love it, but there you go. But just completely forgotten what a really enjoyable film this is. Had a great time with it, and as usual, Arrow did the goods with the transfer. Really an excellent documentary on the Blu-ray as well too, of the making of the film, so definitely well worth having. Arrow, I'll repeat again, definitely in my opinion the boutique label of 2025. Not just in terms of the quality of their transfers, I would say in terms of value for money. They've clearly identified their place in the market and are going after it, and know the audience that they're targeting, and doing it really, really well. I have heard of one or two people have issues with their customer service. All I can say from my perspective is I've always found them a pleasure to deal with. Very friendly and outgoing, and always responded to any queries I had really quickly. That's really all you can ask for. They will come up again when we get into the official top 10 list, I'm sure. And then finally, we're going to go for a Warner Brothers Collector's Edition. I was really, really tempted to have this in the top 10, but what put me off, to be honest with you, was the steelbook itself that comes with it. It's one of my favourite films of all time, Lethal Weapon. Has many fans, I know. It's a really, really nice collector's edition. The thing that puts me off is the steelbook. It's just a bit weird, to be honest with you. It doesn't really quite sit in sync with the rest of the packaging. But look, overall, the transfer itself is top class. Plenty of extras. The director's cut is there as well too, which I haven't seen in physical media for a while, so definitely well worth having. If the steelbook was nicer or done more in a more classy way, it probably would have broken into the top 10. It was very, very close as it was, but look, we have it, and I guess it's just an indication of how good a year 2025 was when a really cracking release like this didn't make the top 10. So now we're going to jump into it, the official Alan top 10 of the year. There would be some unusual titles in here, I think, which will surprise a few people, because one thing I wanted to do in 2025 was expand my horizons a little bit and try labels that maybe I haven't tried before and see what they had to offer. And for the most part, that proved very rewarding, as we'll see shortly. But coming in at 10, I actually got this at the very, very start of the year from Shout Factory JFK Collector's Edition. 4-disc job. Really, really nice set. It's a film that I've always loved. Shout have done a really good job with this edition as well too. It's a nice rigid hard case. It's a 4-disc set. 2 4Ks and 2 Blu-rays. They've just made a lovely job of it. Really, really nice. The transfer is lovely. Very much in keeping with the time period. The film is set in the 60s and obviously in America, and the infamous JFK assassination, which we'll be talking about till the end of the world, I reckon. We'll never really know what really happened. I remember at the time when the film came out, people thought Oliver Stone was going to come up with the whole solutions, the whole mystery, who'd committed the assassination, etc., which of course is totally unrealistic. That was never going to happen. But this is a really, really nice collector's edition. I believe it's out of print now, There is a more standard edition available, so if you're interested in the film, definitely worth picking up. It was one of my first purchases of 2025. No regrets at all, really glad to have it, and it's in the collection now. Now, the next one coming in at 9. This is actually 3 films in one because I count them all together. And we're back with the guys from Arrow again, and what we're talking about is the Dollars trilogy, Good, Bad, the Ugly, for a few dollars more and a fistful of dollars. These are, you know, if you're a Western fan like I have been for a long, long time, you never in your wildest dreams would have dreamt that you'd get collector's editions of this quality for these films. They're all beautifully done. They all went very, very quickly, which is no surprise to me. Arrow made such a good job of them. The one thing I'll say about Arrow as well, I will commend them on their integrity, I would call it. A couple of the editions, the original release date was put back because they weren't happy with how they turned out with the quality. And to their credit, they just said, look guys, we're just going to delay this for a while till we get it right, which I really admire them for, because I'm sure you know as collectors, the last 3 words you ever want to hear is disc replacement program. So to actually delay it and make sure they got it right was 100% the right thing to do. I know people don't like getting delayed and love release dates to be stuck to, but you know, you got to do it right. And they did do it right. These are phenomenal collector's editions. I always smile when I see that he's on the shelf because, you know, as I said, particularly as a fan of Clint Eastwood, you would never have expected to see these 3 films done in such a wonderful collectible way, and I'm really thrilled to own them. And I wonder will they ever get re-released in that way. I know they did more basic editions, but you know, maybe that'll take away the fact that they were limited, and you know, if you missed out, you missed out. But you know, anyone that did miss out, I hope you do get the opportunity at some stage to pick them up, because they're a fantastic addition to any collection. Okay, so now up to number 8. As I mentioned, this year I really wanted to expand my horizons and check out labels that I haven't done any business with before, particularly ones abroad. Those of you will be aware of Imprint in Australia, a very good label who produce a lot of high quality stuff. We won't talk about the Halloween disaster that happened recently. There's enough been said about that, so we'll just move on from it. But my good friend Conor Gray in Australia helped me source a couple of titles which are in the top 10. This is the first one. I do love me a good war movie, and A Bridge Too Far is one of my absolute favourites. Beautiful edition. I love the way Imprint packaged their stuff. Just pull off the top there. Can never figure out how they managed to get the J card to stay on the back. Maybe it's magnetic or something like that. I don't know, but I mean, what a cast in this film, like Dirk Bogarde, James Caan, Michael Caine, Sean Connery, Edward Fox, Gene Hackman, Anthony Hopkins, Laurence Olivier, Robert Redford. I mean, this is from an era where Hollywood were making a lot of films like this, cramming them with some of the top stars in the business, hoping to get bums on seats, I guess, to quote an old phrase from cinema. And certainly worked in this one. I'm not going to say it's the greatest war film of time, it's not, but it's definitely up there in the top 5 or 6, I would say. Really enjoy it, even Gene Hackman's dodgy Polish accent, and just looking back on 2025, how sad it was that we lost him. I know he was 95, but it was just really tragic the way his life ended. He deserved better than that, and a real Hollywood icon, a brilliant actor, so fair play to him, and I hope he's resting in peace. His work is immortalised forever. So A Bridge Too Far from Imprint, and thanks Conor for the help with that. The next one is from Arrow again, and this was a recommendation to me from my good friend Keith over at Euphoria Pictures, who, as you all probably know, is John Carpenter's biggest fan. I had a vague recollection of this film from many years back seeing it, but couldn't really remember it that well. But Keith just told me, look, they've got a really nice collector's edition coming out. I really think you'd like the film, so, you know, up to you. But I've always trusted Keith's judgment, and this is In the Mouth of Madness, starring Sam Neill, who is one of my favourite actors. One of those guys, he's incredibly reliable. If he's in a film, you just say, you know what, let's go for it. Sam Neill doesn't do muck, and he's very, very good in this. Really, really enjoyed the film. Really nice addition from Arrow as well too. The usual hard case and outer sleeve and your poster and photos and stuff inside. They're just so reliable, and it's great to order from a particular label knowing you're going to get the goods delivered. It's going to be a good transfer. There'll be plenty of nice extras. The quality of the photos they provide and the posters are top notch, and you know, that's really that's really all you can hope for. And I'll mention again their loyalty points program. Why more of the labels don't do that, I don't know. I mean, you should always value regular customers, in my opinion. But sure, look, it is what it is. But yeah, In the Mouth of Madness, definitely a worthy addition to my top 10. So number 6, we're back to Imprint again. Everybody knows I'm a big Robert De Niro fan, I think, at this stage. And some people are surprised when they ask me what my favourite De Niro film is, expecting to hear Goodfellas or The Deer Hunter or whatever. Always has been, and I think always will be, Raging Bull. This is a lovely collector's edition from Imprint, and again, thanks to Connor for helping me to source this and get it over to me here in Ireland. It was great help, and it was lovely to have it. This is a really top class edition. There's a wonderful book in it, which I'll just give you a brief look at there. Really nice hardback book about the production and the making of the film. And to be honest, it's the type of book, if you saw it on the shelf, you'd probably buy it independently. It's just a really, really nice set, beautifully put together by Imprint. I do enjoy their packaging. They do put a lot of thought and care into it. This is a really terrific edition. It's a really excellent transfer of the film as well too. My favourite De Niro film, probably my favourite boxing film as well too, because it's just so grounded in reality and there's just such really cracking performances in it. So it's a title I'm really, really happy. I do have a couple of other editions of it, but this is the ultimate one, I think, in my opinion. So very grateful to Connor for helping me out with that. Cheers, buddy, much appreciated, and Happy New Year to you and the family. Next we're gonna go for one of the best steelbooks and collector's editions of the year, and one of my favourite films of the year as well, Nosferatu. Anybody that knows me will know how much I really, really like this film. It's so beautifully done, so stylishly done. I know it's a remake of an old classic 1920s horror movie and a later edition with Klaus Kinski in the late 70s, but it's done so well you can almost class it as an original from the great Robert Eggers, who I think is one of the most talented filmmakers around today. As far as I know, he's currently wrapped his latest film shooting wise, and they're now in post-production for a film about the 15th century werewolf film, which I can't wait to see. Robert has said he's never going to do a film set in the modern day, so I admire him for having a clear path and direction in his career, and can't wait to see the new film whenever it's out, hopefully during the year sometime. But this is just such a lovely film. If you wanted to show somebody how to make a proper gothic, almost romantic, the horror element isn't that relevant in it, to be honest with you. It's almost not a lot of horror in it, it's more gothic romance really, but it's so beautifully shot and coloured, and the 4K transfer is amazing. It's one of the loveliest steel books out there as well too. I really like it, and it's a really lovely collector's edition, so delighted to have it, and can't wait to see Robert's next work. That was number 5, I believe, and now we're on to number 4. Hammer was always going to show up at some stage, and as all of you know, I'm a massive Christopher Lee fan, so getting to see Christopher Lee as Dracula in 4K for the first time was always going to be a big deal. The hope was that Hammer would get the 1958 Dracula out in one of their deluxe collector's editions. Didn't happen this year, maybe next year, but as I said in the previous video, Studio Canal do have the rights to a lot of the Hammer portfolio. So they brought out 2 titles this year. The Horror of Frankenstein is one, and this one, which has made my top 10 because the ads on Amazon and all the various websites didn't do justice to the quality of the set. It's a really nice edition, Scars of Dracula, which I think is either the 5th or 6th film in the Dracula series, in a series of 9. I wouldn't say it's my favourite of the Dracula films. That's, as I've said before, Dracula Prince of Darkness, but I did enjoy it. There's a totally different tone in it. This was kind of like a soft reboot of the whole thing. There were plans initially, I think, to bring somebody new in to play Dracula because they didn't think Christopher Lee was going to be bothered doing it. They managed to persuade him with whatever means they used, and he came back. It's a unique portrayal of the character, in my opinion. Like, he's really consummate evil in it. The kind of class and dignity that he brought to the role before is kind of missing here. He's not like a nobleman anymore. He's just an out-and-out monster. There's some horrific sort of bloody scenes in it. There's gallons of blood used in this. There's probably more blood used in this Dracula film than there is in all the others put together. A lot of cleavage, particularly of the female lead, Jenny Hanley. That's the direction Hammer were going at the time. Not necessarily right, but you know what? I enjoyed the film for what it was. It's very good. It's not the worst Dracula film by any stretch of the imagination, and plenty of blood and gore. And I suppose the unique way, the different original way they got rid of Dracula at the end, or so you thought, was quite original and well thought out, and was well done. So I'm delighted to have it. The 4K transfer is really good. Studio Canal are been around a long time. They kind of know what they're doing. So this was a bit of a no-brainer for me to pick up, and I'm glad I got it. And hopefully, as I said, in 2026, we'll see the original Dracula 1958 come out in some shape or form in 4K. Really don't know who has the right for that, whether it's Studio Canal or Hammer themselves. I do hope it's Hammer, because they do those deluxe collector's editions so very well, and that's the type of treatment that Dracula 58 really deserves, because that was really the film that elevated them to worldwide status as one of the best makers of horror films at the time. I know Curse of Frankenstein, which we might mention again, kind of got the ball rolling for them, but Dracula really cemented it and helped Universal Pictures from going into bankruptcy, because they had the distribution rights in the States, and it's well documented that that film helped them stop them going out of business. So landmark film in many ways, but that's one of them anyway. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, where's the top 3? This film has always got a mention, because I did see it at the cinema, and it did come out on 4K initially, very basic Amaray release with just the 4K disc in it, which I picked up because I wanted it. But then shortly afterwards, Amazon Italy, God bless their souls, one of the best value retailers out there, brought out a really nice steelbook for it, which included the Blu-ray as well. It's a really classy steelbook, very, very well made. The film itself looks stunning in 4K, really, really does it. What a phenomenal film. Ryan Coogler, in my opinion, could be a massive, massive talent if he's looked after the right way by Warner's or whoever hangs on to his services. The guy's a very, very talented filmmaker. He really does know what he's doing. Great ally in Michael B. Jordan as well, who's excellent in this. The best compliment I could give Michael B. Jordan, as some of you know, he plays twin brothers in this. Not identical twins, obviously, but if somebody told you it was 2 different actors playing the part, you'd believe them. So that's how good he was. So he's kind of one of the hot rising stars in Hollywood. Picks and chooses his projects very carefully. This is a really great project for him to do, and hopefully there'll never be a sequel to it, because it's one of those films that should stand on its own. You know, and coming in the runners-up position, the silver medal. Another Warner Brothers collector's edition. And when this came out, kind of knew straight away it's going to be hard to top this one, but it's come in at number 2, number 1 to come shortly. But this is the collector's edition of one of the great cop movies of all time, one of the great Hollywood icons of all time, Dirty Harry. Phenomenal transfer, really, really is. Just right from the off, you just go, wow, what a transfer this is. It's a wonderful collector's edition as well. I'd probably say it's the nicest looking steelbook of the year as well, because they made an effort with the back of it as well too, which they don't always do. It's just so good. It's just, you know, this is the whole beauty, in my opinion, of collecting. You get an iconic film like that, you know, that's not a young film by any stretch of the imagination, and they've just done such a wonderful job with the restoration. Whatever it is about films from that particular time period, they just always seem to look glorious in 4K. This is absolutely no exception. Definitely one of the best 4K transfers of the year, one of the best collector's editions of the year, and absolutely thrilled to have it. Surprised it hasn't sold out. It's still around, but you know, maybe when they say limited edition, they're not maybe being as truthful with the amount that they've actually produced, or who knows. At that particular time of the year, there was a lot of special editions out, so you can't have everything. We all know that as collectors. So, but that was one I was definitely going to have. So the runners-up position goes to Dirty Harry. So what's the number 1, you're asking? Well, some of you that know me well would probably guess And of course it's Hammer, and of course it's The Curse of Frankenstein. Easily the best release of the year for me, and that's only my personal opinion. I know a lot of you out there got the Nightmare on Elm Street Steelbook collection, which was fabulous. Lovely looking set. I didn't get it, to be honest with you. Main reason being 7 films, and of the 7 films, I liked the first 3, and I couldn't give a toss about the rest of them. I just have no time for them at all, so I just didn't think it represented good value for money for me. You know, if you only like less than half the films in a set, then really, what's the point? I do understand other people wanting it. It's a wonderful collector's edition. What they should have done, that's what they should have done with the James Bond collection, in my opinion, which is one of the big letdowns of the year for me. They should have done the similar style to the Elm Street collection, but however, they didn't, so we'll move on. But anyway, my number 1 is Hammer's The Curse of Frankenstein. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful release. It's just, can't fault it in any shape or form. Whoever devises the design of these things and what the content is going to go into it, Hammer deserves a huge pat on the back. I mean, it's absolutely laden down with extras. There's a lovely hardback book in there with the story of the production of the film and other sort of insights as well too. Really like the idea of a graphic novel of the film, which they've done with all their releases so far. Brilliant idea. Some great artwork, phenomenal artwork, some great photos. I mean, you just can't fault it. And just when you consider it costs the same as, you know, a Universal, Warner Brothers, or a Second Sight collector's edition, there's just so much more in it. So I know I've said that Arrow are probably the boutique label of the year, which they kind of are overall, but really for their first year, their first foray into the 4K physical media market, Hammer have really pulled out all the stops. You know, I wasn't a big fan of all the titles they brought out, but I knew I wasn't going to be, because, you know, Hammer have a massive portfolio, and in general, it's the horror stuff that I tend to go for, with Quatermass maybe being the exception. I really enjoyed those releases as well, but to be fair, they're kind of elements of horror in them, are kind of sci-fi horror, but I just absolutely love this release. The film is great. There's different versions of it, different aspect ratios of it to watch. The 4K transfer is amazing. I think what makes it for me is the restoration and the special features. I had the pleasure of seeing this in the cinema, because Hammer released it for a short time in cinema as well too, so got a preview of it, and once I saw it in the cinema, I knew, well, the 4K is going to be off the charts, which it is. The extras are just phenomenal. They're actually quite emotional to watch, to be brutally honest with you. On disc 6, there's a 2.5-hour documentary called Flesh and Blood, which is essentially the history of Hammer through the years, and it's narrated by Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. It was shot in 1994. It's now been upgraded to HD, which is great to see, because I had seen it on YouTube previously and it was shockingly bad sound, and visually it just was way off. And it's great to hear the 2 voices of the 2 most iconic people that were involved with Hammer, in my opinion. Sadly, Peter Cushing passed away not long after he'd finished that, so it was the last thing he did with Hammer. There is also about, I think, a 30-40 minute sort of interview chat with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee when they arrived to do the recording, and just hearing them reminisce about their times together, tell a few tales, and the obvious love and affection they had for each other. You know, this is the beauty of being a collector of films, in my opinion. 2 wonderful, talented guys, sadly no longer with us. None of us live forever, but, you know, their work is immortalised forever. Absolutely loved them and idolised them as a child, and I'll be honest with you, I still do. I found it quite emotional watching that interview, you know, because they just brought so much happiness to so many people. Both had such great longevity in their careers. There are tons of other brilliant extras on it as well too, but it's just my favourite release ever, I think. You know, I suppose I'm a very nostalgic guy, and movies are always associated with people to me, so I do recall this as one of the first Hammer films I watched late on a Saturday night with my dad, so it has a special place in my heart, as he does, obviously. And it's just great to have what I will consider probably the most ultimate edition of it you'll ever have. I can't see this ever being topped, to be honest with you. So fair play to Hammer. dealt with them directly quite a bit in the last year or so. Always found them great fun and very professional to communicate with. They do, in my opinion, value their fans very highly. They realise going forward, if this whole thing is going to be successful, then they need their fans on board. So really admire the fact that they showed me a lot of respect, which I'm very, very grateful for, and look forward to seeing what wonderments they have ahead of us in 2026. Hell of a start. Some phenomenal titles that I would hope we'll see. I've mentioned Dracula 1958 already. Curse the Werewolf would be another one for me with Oliver Reed. It's a film that I really, really love. Plague of the Zombie springs to mind. They have such a portfolio. I do know that from a political point of view, they may not necessarily have the rights to everything, but your look, so long as they get released in some shape or form, I'm sure Studio Canal maybe have some more in the pipeline as well. And if you're a Hammer fan, it's probably the best time ever to be a Hammer fan, because you're just getting so many quality releases being brought out. So here's to 2026. Lots of stuff to look forward to already. Can't wait. And the end of my first year as having my own YouTube channel, been going for a little while now. Having a blast with it, and I always appreciate the great support you guys give me. Onwards and upwards, as they say, and hopefully expand things a little bit in the new year. A couple of ideas floating in my head. I hope to have another video up soon, because I've come up with an idea that will allow me to integrate with other channels that I admire on here. It's going to be like in a challenge format, so some of you have been warned already, but the likes of Keith at Euphoria Pictures, John at Mondo Televic Movies, Mad Marty at Mad Marty's Movie Reviews, you guys are in the firing line. Rock God 2004 as well. When I say firing line, doesn't mean I'm going to shoot you. It just means I have maybe a little challenge for you. And we'll see how it goes. It's designed to be fun, because that's what movie collecting should be all about. So, long live physical media. Thanks for watching today. Hope I didn't ramble on too long. 2025, what a year. I suspect 2026 will be just as good, if not even better. So, as the title of the channel says, physical media lives, and long may it live. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for watching.